There's, I've been hearing rumors about the Ukrainian government shutting down Orthodox churches in Ukraine.
Yeah, well, that's more than a
And so,
rumor. Yeah, that's a fact. That's been going on for a
right.
while.
Oh,
There's a terrible
okay. So yeah,
persecution, yeah, of the
right. So
Orthodox
maybe
Church
you,
in
I
Ukraine.
actually just, yeah, I was thinking maybe you can dive into that a little bit because I realize I don't know that much about it. Is the government, what is the government's stance on Christianity?
Well, okay,
Are
yeah,
they
the
really
main
cracking down
church,
on it?
right? The main church, the historic church, the main church, the one with the greatest number of believers in Ukraine, is the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. And that's the historic church that's been there, and historically it's been tied to the Moscow Patriarchate. Now, the fact that it was tied to it, I know people in the West assume, well, obviously they're taking orders from Putin, but it's a very loose kind of association. There's not, they don't oversee it, or, and nobody's ever complained about it. In fact, the church the Orthodox church that I attend here locally it has Russians, but it has an equally large Ukrainian membership. And those
Hmm.
Ukrainians, I think they have a range of view on the war, but some of them are rather nationalistic and anti-Russian. But they all attend this church. This is the one actually is under the Moscow Patriarch because they believe it. They regard it as the real church. It is historically. It's the one that's always been there, and they haven't had an experience of priests or bishops or whatever telling them to support
Then
Putin
the
or
need of,
anything. They
right.
keep out of politics, and so but that's not good enough for Zelensky. It was actually at the outbreak of the SMO, the Ukrainian Orthodox Church broke its ties with Moscow, and condemned the invasion. But none of that was good enough. It's just the fact that they have a link to Russia. In general, there's just an attack, not just on, that goes way beyond opposition to the Russian government or to Putin personally. There's an attack on Russian culture, the Russian language, and the Russian Orthodox faith. All these things have deep historic roots in the region that we call Ukraine. And so, nobody has said that actually. Occasionally, there are claims that these people are secretly in support of Putin, but there's just no evidence of that. They've arrested many priests and bishops and have shut down churches. And it's just really because they're not part of the anti-Russian program. There is they acknowledge the Russian connection, which is just real. It's just part of their history and their so they revere many saints. Of course, they're Ukrainian saints, but they're also Russian saints. They would just assume to have a purely nationalist church, which they helped to create with the help of the Patriarch in Constantinople. It's considered by the rest or most of the Orthodox world as being a schismatic church. It's called the Ukrainian. I think it's the Orthodox Church of Ukraine. So it's worded slightly differently, and it's the one that the government supports and that's nationalist and that condemns all things Russian. So yeah, it's. I would say it's part of this just general campaign about a Russian identity in general. Even when it's not at all political. Like I'm saying, I know Ukrainians that hate Putin with a passion, but they love the Russian Orthodox Church.
So, this new Orthodox Ukrainian Orthodox Church that has no ties with Russia at
Yeah,
all. Are they? What are the priests? Are they like newly hired ordained priests that have to be vetted to make sure that they have some,
yeah. I don't know
that
exactly how they're
the
doing
pure
it, but
nationalism or
yeah, I think that's what's going on. I don't know all the details on that. I hear more about how the other churches suffered. I don't think they have much of a following either. It's just like these because they're clearly political, and then people go to church not for politics. They go there, to live out their faith. And I think the great majority of Ukrainians, regard them as counterfeit.
what can you
But they're
talk?
supported by the government.
Right. So what are the persecutions that are happening to these parishioners at the traditional Orthodox Church that was
Yeah.
always there
Well,
in
yeah, again,
Ukraine?
a
Like
lot of
what
these
happened?
parishes, I think the great majority, I don't know how many are still running, a lot of them have been shut down. Churches seized, churches in some cases actually bulldozed, and priests arrested, bishops arrested. It's a full-scale persecution, and it's been going on with hardly, again, without a peep of protest from the West. It's just that we're supposed to be about human rights, and but that obviously just doesn't extend to Russians or anything Russian. Anything that's friendly to Russia, we're just fine with persecutions of
Mm,
of the Russian people in whatever form, or even any institution that has a historic connection to Russia, as in this case.
yeah, I just wish there's a way to kind of shake people to get them to understand. Christians here in America, they feel like they're doing the right thing by supporting Israel or supporting Ukraine. We got to help them
Right,
out. It's like in Ukraine, you're actually supporting actual real neo-Nazis, far right, extreme that are atheistic, that are more than that they're driven by an ideology just of hatred of Russia, and they're
yeah,
bulldozing
that's really
churches
what
and
they're all
preventing
about.
people
Yeah,
from practicing their Christian faith. And then the same thing in Israel. It's even worse. The bombing some of the oldest Christian church was bombed in Gaza.
right,
And
right,
Christians are persecuted by the Israelis, not by the
right.
Muslims.
Yeah,
um,
no, that's been true. There are not many Christians left in Palestine. Most of them left over the years, but they left not, in an overwhelming number of cases. And I've talked to these people, Palestinian Christians, an overwhelming number of cases, not because of persecution from Muslims, but because of persecution by the state of Israel. And yeah,
So
again,
why did the Christians did they move to places like the U.S. and Europe because they're Christian nations and they felt like this is the way to be, and the other
yeah, I
Muslims
think in
went to
general
places
it's
like
well, there may be some of that, but then I think it's just like the Christians as a class tended to be more cosmopolitan and have more connections, with overseas communities and more
mm,
education, and so it was just easier for them to get out. I think that's the main reason. So you still have, like there's still a sizable Christian community in Bethlehem, which is in the West Bank, or Nazareth, which is within
mm,
the state of Israel. Um, but there are not nearly as many Christians there as there once were. There was, they were a sizable part of the population of when you talked about Palestinians, well, I think they were maybe a quarter of the population
mm,
of the Palestinian population. Now it's way
right,
down, but they're still there. I mean, there's like there's churches in Gaza and
mm,
the Catholic churches and Orthodox churches, and they've both been attacked by the Israelis. And again, you just don't hear any kind of protest from the West. It just
yeah,
it just the whole pretense that I'm sorry that the West is about human rights and some sort of higher standard. It's a standard that's just applied with absolutely no consistency. So it's not a standard. It's just talk, and then they've got their geopolitical alliances, and that just trumps everything, right? As long as you're anti-Russian, we don't care what you do. As long as you're pro-Israeli, we don't care what you do. That's how it works.
mm, right. Okay, well, I guess maybe we just finish up on I was completely wrong about Netanyahu trying to invade southern Lebanon before the debate to make the debate all about Israel.
It was an
And
interesting
it was
theory,
clear,
but yeah,
yeah, but it was. I mean, it's clear that if that happened, the debate wouldn't. The
yeah,
debate
was
would
it
have been a
good?
train wreck. That
Yeah,
you can't
yeah,
manipulate what happened there. So,
yeah,
um,
right. Well, again, I think actually
but
the Israelis, like and Netanyahu himself, he's very well informed about U.S. politics. Yeah, he knows what's going on
mm,
here. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's still no sign that this clash between the IDF and Hezbollah is going to be averted. It looks like we're headed towards it. Again, it might be at the
right.
last minute, but what now the U.S. too is, I guess, positioning themselves, the U.S. Military to evacuate American citizens from Lebanon.
That's what I heard
Yeah.
yesterday. They issued an order to get all Americans out of Lebanon. So it sounds like, I was wrong on the maybe the when the invasion would happen, but it does look like it's still coming.
It still looks
And
like it,
so
yeah.
if things are going to look like they, going to get rocky. I think every week I kind of sort of gauge on like, do things de-escalate a little bit or escalate? I think the past couple weeks have been a series of pretty major escalations. And this debate actually, I think, also just made things a little bit more dangerous as well from what I said in the beginning.
Uh,
But
well, you could well be
um,
right about that. Yeah, I think you are.
mm, well, yeah, okay. So things are just getting a little bit scarier every week. Would you agree that how have we been? What we should have is like I mean, they have the doomsday clock. Maybe we should build some type of escalation meter for our show. Like, where are we till
Have a
it
big sort of
gets?
like a thermometer in the background here, and it's getting
Yeah, maybe I can. Okay, I'll work on that over the
all right.
weekend. We'll have one. I don't know if we want a thermometer. We can talk about it later. You can give me an
Okay.
idea what you think would be good. Okay, well, I think we can end it there, unless
Sure.
there's anything else
No, I
that
don't
you'd
have
like to
anything else
add.
to add. No.
Okay, all right. Well, it's good. All right, have a good Friday. Thanks a lot, Dad.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye.